Hey, what's up, suppers? It's Dave, here to talk about this week on the Crisis of Infinite Earths podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it for you suit uppers. We had no Black Lightning this week, but that's okay. We still had a full episode of Batman, or Batwoman, Supergirl, Arrow, and The Flash. And of course, next week, a few of those shows will be off. So we might have a very quick episode next week, but this week I want to get into the meat of two of the episodes, really, that push the needle. One, of course, which is the Arrow. Arrow did a great job of really bringing two sides together to fight a common enemy. And of course, the Flash, from a crisis standpoint, really brought the team together to focus on one, what is life without the Flash going to be like? Will Cisco step up and be the leader? Of course, does anybody know who the Monitor is? But first, let's get right into we'll do Batwoman. Great episode of a little bit interesting to bringing the father into the fold, of really hearing the backstory of what it was like for Kate growing up without her sister, and what was it like for Alice. Because here we get the full rundown backstory of what it was like. Now, I've been a little bit critical of this show in the past of not easing into things and just going right for it. Here's another example of understanding how Beth became Alice due to creepy Father of the Year, Mouse's father. And I think that's a pretty interesting aspect. What I didn't like was how, hey, son, Kate got very close to catching her sister, like finding the house. They were able to get there. They were on the other side of the wall. It was very heartwarming, but also touching at the same time, because we understand that all Beth wanted to do was scream out and say, "I'm here," and yet the fear of this other guy who is a father figure would kill her actual father and kill her sister, and that was something that she sacrificed to go forward. But she always held out hope that Kate would come back and find her, and it just never happened. So it's pretty not ideal, if you will, and I think that's really what kind of screwed her up. Obviously, this was just the first couple of weeks after she was captured, so we don't really know how she got to the point of escaping, getting into a mental institution, if you will. What does she do to the father figure that's kind of stole her, if you will? So I'm sure that's the best part of what I'm expecting to see over the next couple weeks. And of course, we had a very fun interaction between Luke Fox and the stepsister, which I don't know her name. I think it's Mary. Having a nice little drunken time, just trying to figure out what it's like to be the sister, the stepsister of Kate. And now she's worried that she's going to lose Kate because she's not, her mother tricked her father. Her actual sister is Alice, who she's always seems to be with. So I like how that dynamic's going to play out. So it's good to see the two sidekicks really partnering together and hopefully becoming making Batwoman become the best version of herself in the future. Supergirl had a very, maybe I should transition those shows. Anyway, Supergirl had it was okay episode. I wasn't excited about this one as much. I told you the last couple of weeks is pretty cool to see how the media industry is and how that landscape kind of plays out. This one just turned into a caper, if you will, and I don't know if I was that excited about it. Maybe caper is not the right word. We get to go into a lot more details on the new guy in the office who's actually been trying to bring down the Rojas's forever. And then there was this situation where maybe they weren't the bad guy, and it's this group called Leviathan. If I catch some of the recaps before, I told you I've never watched Supergirl before, so I don't know if Leviathan has been mentioned before. I apologize on behalf of all the millions of fans that watch the show and, of course, follow our YouTube channel. But I guess Leviathan is another shadow organization that's actually out to get the Rojas's. Of course, next week, what we're going to find out is this best friend of the writer who's, coming over from England to kind of supersede himself in there and kind of take charge and really bring down the gang. His best friend used to date Rojas. So I quickly figured that out, that he wasn't dead. His best friend, who they thought was dead, was really that Dr. Octopus type 2, very, it was very quick to see. You could tell in the facial features, the beard, he wasn't very different. So I think next week I'm excited for, Batwoman's going to really probably dig into more of the Kate relationship with Alice, and maybe we get more information of Alice and Mouse. And then for Supergirl, I think we're going to go into a lot more details on the history of this new villain that cropped up and how he was captured by Leviathan and turned against the Rojas family. So Sunday's going to be exciting. Looking forward to that, since they're really, those two shows and Black Lightning will be the only ones on this week. Let's get right into the meat of this episode, which is focusing on how the Flash and Arrow are going to stop the crisis, or maybe they start the crisis of Infinite Earths. We get Breacher coming back from the Flash world, and fun fact, Gypsy's dead. And if anybody's been following the show, All Rise, the actress who played Gypsy is now on that show as a public defender. So now that she's dead on this show, and that's like the biggest spoiler, that's the biggest thing that's happened in a while, really knocking off a main character, Gypsy can't come back, and that's a shame. So we're really hoping All Rise does well, because she's pretty good in that show. She was good on the Flash. It's a little sad, but more importantly, this is really, what is life going to be like without Barry Allen? Can Cisco step up and be the leader? And of course, what is Joe West going to do now that he might lose his son? I'm very happy to see that Cisco and the new girlfriend, who he now loves, had a lot of... I was worried that they were going to fake put Vibe powers back into him. Like, he's decided he needs to go back and become Vibe. So I'm glad that he's sticking to his, I don't want to be a meta-human lifestyle. I think that's smart. Utilize his brain. And then, of course, we find out the actual killer of Gypsy, because that's the whole point of this, is that Cisco was framed for killing Gypsy, was a Cisco Ramon of an alternate universe, aka Echo. And, we get a very touching moment of Gypsy still kind of had feelings for the Cisco Ramon that she knew, which caused her a chance of pausing, which allowed Echo to kill her. Obviously not a great ending to that story, but more importantly, Cisco was able to step up, use his brains to outwit himself, if you will. He's outsmarted himself. One of the smartest villains in the galaxy, or in all the universes. And of course, the best part about all of this is now we get to see can it be successful? And I think the answer is yes. There was no Barry and no Iris, because they were in Tahiti and all sorts of Caribbean countries in 48 hours. So, none of that. Very cool that people just let them go off on vacations, even though a crisis is impending. I don't buy the, we should try to live our life with as much as possible. That's a stupid mentality. Anyway, but more importantly, Joe and Indiana Wells, actually had a moment where they had a conversation on faith. And a lot of this entire episode was built around faith and do you trust your friends and stuff like that. And I think that's where the Flash has gotten better this season, because everyone has to work together. This show isn't just the Flash. It's like the Flash and Super Friends, the Arrow and Super Friends, Supergirl and Friends. So having just the singular entity as the main character is fine. It brings people into it, but really none of these people can do all their stuff without the team that surrounds them. Arrow, on the other hand, has a time travel thing going, very timey-wimey. We get to meet a new Slade, another Slade, because of course, I guess Manu Bennett was too expensive again this year. Anyway, what I appreciated the most about this one is, as I talked last week, are they going to go around it? Are they not going to mention that Zoe's dead to her father? Are they going to mention that JJ? Are they going to hide all this information? Are they going to keep secrets from him? Throw that out the door. I guess they're just going to let the people know about what the future is going to look like. Anyone that watches Terminator, anyone that watched Back to the Future, two different mentalities of time travel. Don't let people know about what's going to happen. It's like the chaos theory. Otherwise, they may exacerbate it, or they may stop it, or who knows, or maybe it's fatalism, and even knowing means they're still going to do it, whatever. Then you've got the other idea is you know what's going to happen in the future, so you do everything you can to stop it. That's determinism, and it doesn't matter what you do, it's still going to happen. Might get that wrong. Doesn't matter. This is clearly taken down the Terminator route, which is now they know what the future's like. Arrow, Wild Dog, Spartan, Black Canary, they know about all this stuff. And they basically probably brought the future forward. They probably brought it back into the present much faster. So they're starting the Canary Network earlier because of this was the information. Ramon had probably had the two wildest emotions of going from hating everybody to realizing that he's not going to let Zoe and JJ turn out to the way that those things actually happened. Yeah, that's a great, I feel like that's the right way to go. I think this is where those teams are going to step up, and we'll see what it's like with the Arrow post Oliver Queen. What is that going to look like? Because I don't think that one's been explicitly stated that Oliver's going to have to sacrifice himself. I think everybody thinks Barry has to, and I think as we get into where the future is going to go, you're going to see Mia and Oliver getting really close together. They're understanding what it's like to be together. And I think that's where we're going to get this heartwarming tale of Oliver's going to have to sacrifice himself during crisis, and it's going to throw everybody off. But at the end of the day, not only is he going to save all the universes, he's going to save the future, which is going to be fantastic. All in all, great couple episodes. Supergirl was fine. Batwoman did great. The Flash and Arrow were also great this week. Again, there's no Flash, no Arrow the week of the 12th. I think there's only just going to be Batwoman, Supergirl, and Black Lightning. So we'll have another abridged version just like we did this week. And if you have any questions, remember, put it in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow our numbers so that we can do more live videos, especially at Comic Cons and other live events. And of course, if you have any other questions, hit us up on the Twitter at SuitUpTPL or on Instagram at the same handle. Again, this is Dave. Have fun, people, and be safe out there.